Hello, friends, and welcome to another edition of Foodie Friday here on the Alive and Social Network. My name is Brian Turner. You can call me BT. There's my co-host and daughter, Lydia Turner.
Hello, another Foodie Friday coming in hot. Always fresh, never stale.
You got that
Oh,
right,
yeah.
daughter dear. Our guests today are Krista Aspinwall from Velvet Bees Honey Butter. You put
Gourmet honey
You put a
butter.
gourmet there in the label, but I think it's really like Velvet Bees Honey Butter when we talk about it.
Yes, it is.
Or do we weave the gourmet in every time? Should we weave it in every time?
We could weave it if we wished, but Velvet Bees Honey Butter.
That'll just
VBHB.
VBHB. That
Dig
sounds
it.
good, baby. And Mary Beth Mueller is here from the organization Kill Cancer. 2 Ks in there. KILLKANCER. Hi, MB.
Hey, Brighty.
Good to thank you very much. Good to have you here. Why don't you just get a little closer to that mic when we're talking there?
Got
MB?
it.
Yeah, we're right on that. Now we're good. Well, we bring friends from the food community and the community at large into Foodie Friday to talk about food on all levels. And we work to demystify the term foodie. That's a big part of what we're doing here. So we'll travel down some different pathways and adventure together over the course of the next hour. That's how it works. Now remember, Lydia and I are here to guide the conversation, but in the midst of things, MB, if you've got something you want to ask Krista or vice versa or whatever the case may be, please, everybody chime in. That's what it is. We're all just hanging out. Nice conversation in the Alive and Social Network studios.
And if you have awkward questions to ask about him or myself, I would be more than happy to share embarrassing details.
Especially those.
Yes.
That's what adds the pizzazz to Foodie Friday. Right here, right now. Disregard everything she just said. Please, disregard it. Krista, what's your first food memory going back as a kid?
Oh, first food memory. Kindergarten. I walked home from school. That was when you could walk home from school. It was half-day kindergarten. I opened a can of chicken noodle soup, Campbell's, yes. Made it myself.
Made it yourself.
Wow,
Very
there you
No
nice.
big deal. No big deal.
Made it
or
all
anything.
by herself. Boy, oh boy, that might lead into one of our Foodie Friday 5 questions there. So we'll see. We'll see.
Sneak ya. We'll sneak ya a little.
How about you, MB? First memory, was it grandma's cooking? Just a
Oh, God, no. None in my house. No, I had one of those houses that we were asked as kids, would you like blue cheese crumbles and garbanzo beans on your salad this evening?
Why, yes. Thank you.
Right. And my mother could not figure out why we didn't really want to eat the salad when we were 6. So I had a fairly formal family, but I think that my first passionate food memory would be my Girl Scout cookies.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, I'm a Thin Mint gal, and I also was the record holder in Northwest Georgia for cookie sales.
Come on.
Hell
So
yeah.
I was a real good little cookie sales girl.
Is there documentation for this?
There is actually. I still have my sash, and
Badges.
when the kids were actually allowed to go door to door, I used to just I would put it on and run to the door, and Carl would be like, "Honey, really, seriously?" But no, I take a lot of pride in that. I do.
I
Yeah.
would say so. Can you tell us in sheer numbers? Do you remember the numbers of your record-breaking year? I mean, how many
Oh,
boxes?
it was cases. I mean, our garage was full of cases
Wow.
of cookies.
What was your secret?
Yeah.
Well, it was the 60s, and every house that was in our neighborhood in Georgia probably had 7 or 8 kids living there.
Sure, okay.
So, you just go up and down the streets. You could still carry your cookies with you, and you went door to door.
Oh, wow.
Probably entice the little ones that answer the door maybe first, and then
right.
get them screaming at mom or dad.
Right?
Want a cookie?
Yeah,
You want
right.
these peanut butter cookies?
Sure.
They
Yeah.
look
Right.
real nice.
Actually, I think it might have been just easier to buy for me than going to the store yourself.
Totally.
So, right,
Yep.
those housewives looked at it like, oh, great, they're delivering cookies. Cool.
I'm already here.
Right. Yeah, right.
This is like Coburn's Delivers before Coburn's was even around. I
Right.
love you, little girl.
Yep,
And the
right.
uniform looks really sharp
Yeah,
on you as well.
yeah.
All right, give us a little bit of what your spiel might have been like when it came. So, what are you selling there, little girl? What's your name?
Oh, gosh, I don't
Mary Beth?
remember
Is your
the
name Mary
spiel.
Beth?
But I know that I had to introduce myself. I
Yeah.
had to tell him which troop I was from. But it was very serious. We wore our little knee socks and saddle shoes and our
It's a serious
and our Girl
business.
Scout outfit.
Yeah.
No, it was cool. The hat, I remember that little tam. that you used to wear, and I just march around in second grade with my little box of cookies.
and communication skills and learning skills from that level that serve you to this day, I bet.
Well, I do like food sales. So.
She's out there making it happen.
Girl Scouts do not have the pitch these days. They just kind of assault you at the front of a grocery store. We have cookies. Do you want some?
Right. No.
Oh gosh, no.
Right.
Or you get an email from mom or dad.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not
right,
into
right.
that. No, mom and dad should not be selling.
It's the send all email around the office. So my kid is selling
Smells like cheating to me.
Yeah, can we get you signed up for this? Well, if it helps the program, I guess that's okay. But yeah, bring them in the office. Get those little girls in the office and have them sell right there.
That's right.
Chris, did you ever have any of that kind of Girl Scout thing going on when you were a kid, or any of that sort of food sales as a little kid?
I was a brownie.
You were? Okay.
I was a brownie. And then, unfortunately...
There's a food narrative already there if you were a brownie.
Exactly. What kind of brownies? No, that was high school. And I
was in for a long, long time.
Yeah, right?
I outgrew the uniform several times.
No,
I was in so long they started calling me Campfire Women.
Exactly.
Those are bluebirds, by the way.
That is the blue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We had brownies and then Girl Scouts, but unfortunately we didn't have a Girl Scout troop where I was, so didn't get to sell the cookies.
Yeah.
But we were always involved in some type of fraternal organization of some type where we got to sell, and also huge dinners, because that was fundraising for us. We would have chicken dinners and spaghetti dinners.
For the brownie troop is what you're saying.
Actually, no, this was when I got a little bit older. I was in an organization that was affiliated with the Masons, called Job's Daughters.
Yeah.
And I was one of those. And so we...
you looked at Lydia a little askance, and all of us a little askance. Is there a secret background that you can't reveal?
Yeah, the Illuminati.
No, some people,
the Illuminati.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
People think,
no, it's very...
shrine. But no, my dad was a Mason and a Shriner, and so we girls, I'm one of 3 daughters, to keep us out of trouble, they had us join Job's Daughters.
Yeah, gotcha.
Did you get a fez?
My dad had a fez.
I'll bet he did.
Oh, you could not wear that.
No. the sacred fez shrine
fez,
on the mantle.
The fez and the teeny weeny cars that you could bring to parades.
Exactly.
Envious of those.
Yeah, but he was in the giant blow-up clown. If you ever saw that at any of the parades, that was
sure.
quite often my dad.
That was quite. Who's in there? It's Coppinger.
Dad. It's my dad.
Yeah, there he is. He's in there. Hang your head down low. That's my dad. Indeed.
So, Krista, I'm curious about the honey butter, because I've looked up online, and you've said that this is a recipe from your mom originally.
It is not original to our family.
Okay.
But
so when did that hop into your family?
It's been in my family for years. And as best as I can tell, it started in a church cookbook somewhere.
How about that?
Found it. Yeah, my aunt found it way northern Minnesota, church cookbook. And so my mom is the oldest of 7 women. And so the women would all make this honey butter. So it's always been around. And then my mom started making it after my dad passed away, and was making it for friends and church bazaars and that kind of thing. And Steve and I needed something to do with our time. And she said, I think this has legs. You take it and go.
Is this a recipe that you had growing up, or was this something that came later on?
Later.
Okay.
Later. I only remember it later.
Okay.
So, and I lived away from Minnesota for several years. So when she started making it, it was like, oh, yeah, it's good, Mom.
Mm-hmm. Were you looking for an excuse to come back to Minnesota, or was it... This was the draw, I think that there's something with feet here.
No, Steve and I were living in New Mexico, and the economy was about a year behind the rest of the country, and our jobs were going to end. I was in the nonprofit world.
I was going to ask, what were you doing?
Yep,
okay.
I was working for a nonprofit, and it wasn't the kind of nonprofit that was putting food on the table or clothes on anybody's back. We were working with folks to learn how to learn a deliberative process in like legislature and how to work with the government in getting bills passed and that type of thing.
So if you were an organization, your nonprofit would help your organization figure out how to move your agenda forward, that sort of thing? Or
Yes, we would. We would actually teach people how we would facilitate conversations, teaching people the deliberative process and how it works. Kind of like Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill is made. Sort of like that, only on a bit higher level.
Right.
And so so funding was drying up, and Steve was in the landscaping world, and that was definitely drying up because, hello, it's New Mexico.
I was going to say.
literally.
Yeah, literally. And we knew that the economy was better here in Minnesota, and that there were jobs to be had. I'm from Minnesota. Steve is not, and so we said, let's see what happens. We came back here, and we started making honey butter in the spring of 2011. Our first gig was a farmer's market out in Victoria. We sold 17 jars, and we thought, This is it.
We are on to
Yeah.
something here.
We
Nice.
are on our way.
We should define the Steve that you speak of,
Yes.
your longtime partner now. I would add romantic partner and business partner now
Yes.
since 2011. But now your husband. You just got married last December. So congratulations. A round of applause here on
Thank
Foodie
you.
Friday
Thanks.
for Steve and Krista Aspinwall. Yeah, that's really nice.
Thanks.
Why did it take you so long?
I had to find him.
So where in Minnesota did you grow up? You mentioned that you're from here and that this recipe came from some church, initially in its first iteration or what
Right.
have you in northern Minnesota. Where were you from?
I'm actually an East St. Paul kid.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Well, we initially, actually, very, very young years, we lived in the Dale and Blair, Dale Thomas, what we called the Frogtown area.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was because there must be frogs somewhere. And then I learned what it meant, and I thought, oh, well, okay.
Well, now I'm a little disappointed. But
I'm a little disappointed. I thought this was going to be fun. But my mom and her family are actually from the northern part of the state. So not as far north as I've been told that the recipe book was from like International Falls or some town near International Falls. We think it has beginnings in Great Britain.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're not sure because I'd love to find that person. But.
Have you shifted this recipe from its original state, or has it stayed the same?
We use the same ingredients,
Okay.
but when we first started making it, we made 5 jars at a time, and then because of the fact that we started selling it in stores and at markets and such, we now do 40 to 50 jars in a batch.
That's
instead of the
fantastic.
little 5.
All hand batched.
It's
All
still
hand
really
batched.
small batch.
Yeah.
Hand poured, hand sealed.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
really well, and I think you can taste the love in there too.
It's love.
I mean, you really can.
That's
yeah.
the 6th ingredient. Yes,
5.
Only 5 ingredients and love.
Love dripping all over there. Well, I want to ask you here in just a bit about your process and how you go about making it, and what that's like for you. I know you have a shared kitchen facility that you share with others.
We do.
And the juggling that can come from that, and the alliances and the people that you meet in that sort of environment. So we'll get to more of that with Krista in just a moment. Mary Beth Mueller,
Indeed.
where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up?
Yeah.
I grew up nowhere. I was born in Pittsburgh. We went to Omaha, Dallas, Detroit, Atlanta, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Palatine, Illinois, outside of Chicago,
Yep.
and then Minneapolis when I was 18.
Why all the traveling? Of course, the Georgia narrative with the Girl Scout cookies, but why all
Both
the?
of my parents are from Detroit, and my father was an executive with General Motors.
Oh, that would be it. So
That
where
would be
there
it.
was a factory or where there was
No
an office?
factories,
Okay, he was more of a
right.
more of
he
the
was,
business level guy.
Yeah, he was. He started out doing the advertising in house, and when they spun that out in 1965, he was, I believe, 40, and then he was given the first sales zone in the South.
Okay.
So we moved to Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mad Men era going on there.
Well, welcome to my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to a question of what would parties be like,
They were,
at your family's
whoa.
house?
Well,
the ones where you're probably, looking through the banisters.
We
is
were
what I'm getting at.
absolutely in our pajamas in the banisters watching all the adults with their white sport coats on in the summer with their martinis and their cigarettes.
Yeah.
my family's Catholic, so it wasn't all the way to Mad Men. But pretty darn
Sort of,
freaking
like
close.
Mad Men tempered,
Oh my
maybe?
God!
Yeah, right.
Right. I mean, the entertaining was crazy. My sister and I learned how to serve and set a proper table. My brothers would go through with the silent butler emptying the ashtrays.
Right.
Someone was always on the piano. Wow. My dad would hire the bartenders from the country club to come and man the bar for them in Georgia. So it was definitely Mad Men era.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
what was your relationship with food during this time? Was it more people coming in and making food for you, or were your parents a part of the food process? What was that like?
Jeez,
Was Mom a cook? Was Dad a cook? Or did Dad like to?
The
No.
garbanzo bean salad with blue cheese.
Jello with floating cottage cheese
No
and
Jello
fruit?
in my house. Yeah. No, boy, I don't recall. I remember my mother used to, I think it was very, very cool. She's going to kill me. For drizzling cream de menthe on the ice cream and serving in it footed. They were cobalt blue crystal glasses for dessert. That was the rage, like in 1967 or something. Ramaki, I remember the Ramaki rage. But I don't recall her actually cooking. My mom cooks now, and she's really good. She's remarkable at 85. I'll call her and say, "What are you doing for dinner?" "Well, I just cooked some salmon and some vegetables and whatnot." But I think probably working at those parties and then having a rather formal family, I took to restaurant work like a fish to water. And it was my escape from the suburbs. It was a way that I could support myself and stay in the city and not ever look back. So,
What was your first job restaurant gig?
when I was in college, I was at St. Mary's in Winona, and my sister was at Boston College, and we worked summers and our breaks at Bunny's, the original Bunny's on Excelsior Boulevard.
The original one, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
my parents never knew really what it was, and so they were a little hoodwinked. And the year that my father died, a woman that was working there said, there's a place downtown that's opening and they're looking for servers. It's called the Monte Carlo.
Oh, wow.
And then I could make some serious money.
Yeah.
And I just never looked back. I lived in that neighborhood, and shortly thereafter, Fagre's opened, and
In
we
Butler
all
Square. Yeah.
well, right on the corner, right?
Yep.
So we all migrated up there, and to this day, the people I worked with at Fagre's are my best friends. Dan and Mary Hunter, that own the Grand Cafe, and my first roommate, Jane Musgrave, runs the Birch Steakhouse. Brian McElrath, who owns B.T. McElrath Chocolates.
Who was a guest on our first
right?
Foodie Friday podcast.
He was the sous chef. Haji owns, that restaurant that's on Grand Avenue. What is that called? Barbary Fig.
Barbary Fig,
Yep,
yep.
he worked there. Just a lot of people. Peter Kelsey was the first chef, and of course he had the new French bakeries. So there's just a lot of us that were in that restaurant scene back then.
And so many still in it, or in some
well,
aspect of the food world. I mean, that's amazing. The
yeah.
tentacles that went out and that were so strong that they persist.
Right. I mean, for a lot of us, it was a way to make a living, so that we could do as we pleased. And also, it's something that you have to have a passion for if you're going to stay in it. And it's maybe it's just our generation the way we looked at it, but it really is a craft. And and it's a dying one, if you ask me, front of the house.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Hospitality, good hospitality.
Yeah, well, and just really good, knowledgeable servers. We had a party in the private back room at the Grand Cafe, and because it was my family, Mary, the owner, waited on us, and it was like a whisper. She could clear and come in and out in between the guests, and without anyone noticing that the bread and butter plates were changed out, the silverware was changed out, your water was full. And the conversation was never disrupted by her movement. Jane Musgrave up at Birch taught me, and she's freaking amazing. I mean, she's something. It's a beauty beauty to behold when she's on the floor.
It's like a dance.
Yeah.
It
like a dance.
absolutely is like a dance.
A dance of a
You
ghost
bet.
or a spirit.
Right.
Without the interminable, how was the first bite?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
stand
How's your
that
first
shit.
bite?
With your mouth full.
No, right. No, they should just really go away.
Right.
Yeah, they need to go away. When
I'll
they
let you
behave
know
that
if it's
way.
bad.
Yeah, right.
Let's develop a
Yeah.
relationship right now where I'll
Yeah.
let you know things.
How about you just don't talk to me?
I'll let you know things
Yeah,
if I need
right.
them, or
Right.
or if you're
Thank
falling
you.
behind,
Right. Yeah,
don't worry.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I can speak up. I'm
Right.
pretty good at that.
Right.
Did you continue on in the food world then? Beyond,
I always did. I mean, that's where
beyond
I-
Fagries and
The first drummer in Loudfast Rules was our busboy at Fagries, and that's how I met Carl and my late husband. And he was a prep cook at the Loon, which was right across the street. The Loon had just
Yeah,
opened at
absolutely.
that
There's
point.
a lot of attachments to the
Yep.
loon.
And
oh, you're right. Now Fagries was in the
right across the street.
was in the
Yeah,
Kickernick
in the
building.
Kickernick
Yep.
building,
No, I got
yeah.
them mixed up
Yeah,
in my head.
right.
I got Butler Square
Yeah.
and Kickernick mixed up in my head
Yeah.
a second ago.
Yeah.
So I had to.
I didn't want to
clear.
correct you since you're the host.
No, please do.
Yeah,
No,
that would
please
have been
do.
DB Kaplan's and La Torture.
Yeah, no worries.
In the Butler building.
And then
Yeah.
and later it was Felties, and that's why I got it
Felties,
mixed
yep.
up because they sound so similar.
Yep.
But yes, it was.
Yep.
Yep, it
Where
was on
Tom
the-
Matuszek worked before they got him at the Loon.
There you go.
And he's at Penzies now.
Your husband, your late husband, is the inventor of the Loon Attic sandwich.
He is the inventor of the Loon Attic
Yes,
sandwich.
he is.
Okay, reel this off for me because I've been to the Loon. I'm not that well acquainted with the menu. as
Chicken
much.
breast, sesame seeds, a little bit of breading. It's griddled. It's topped with mushrooms and Swiss cheese, and it's on a bun with shredded lettuce and
It's got a little jerk sauce on
pick
there.
a pepper sauce.
Pick a
exactly.
pepper sauce.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pick a pepper.
Yeah, the
yep.
pick a pepper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
Yep, it is delicious. Yep, it's to this day our family favorite.
Is that right?
Oh yeah,
Oh, mine
yeah, we're
too.
there all the time.
Mine
Yeah,
too. I
yeah,
worked
you
for many
keep-
years in the Butler Square
Yep.
building, and
Yep.
the Loon was a
Yeah.
common
Yeah.
drop-off point.
Oh yeah.
Hangout point. That's where I met Tom when he was
Yeah,
bartending
right.
there, and now I see him at Penzies.
Yep, exactly.
You mentioned him,
Yep.
so I'll bring that
Yep.
up. But they are addictive. That's why it's called that.
They're awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like the Chinese food of bar food in
No,
that
it's-
as soon as you finish
yum.
one, damn,
yeah.
I could go for another.
Yeah.
Wow.
In-
Or at
in-
least, half an hour later and a beer later, I could go for another.
In this town for bar food, what the Loon does, they do the absolute best at it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they do a fine
consistently,
job.
and they execute brilliantly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my fellow Brian Turner.
Yeah,
you
right,
know, the
BT,
exec-
correct. Ski
the-
Dad.
Ski
Yeah,
Dad.
Ski Dad's been there for he worked with Carl.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that. Yeah, we know that. He spoke
30
about
years
him
ago.
like B.T. McElrath.
Right.
We had Brian Turner on the show. The same.
No,
Yeah, so we had a gaggle of Brian's. I think that's the term.
that's hilarious.
He was in our second
Oh,
episode.
second
we had
episode.
BT
Funny.
McElrath in the first
Right.
one, and then we had
right.
Ski Dad in the second
It
one.
was,
Right.
it was
We were keeping the Brian
Oh, that's
theme.
super funny.
but it was the egregious back-to-back
Yeah.
Brian's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
BTs were
Yeah,
on the show.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
A little self-serving on
Right.
my part, I
Well,
felt, but
that's
okay.
I'm the co-host.
Yeah.
I can do that. And by the way, you can't correct me if I make a mistake.
No, that's
like that.
okay.
Please do.
He's allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, he spoke so fondly of Carl when he was on the show.
yeah.
And he reminded us. I had that tucked away in the back of my memory.
when
from
you-
years ago, and then he reminded us, like, oh my God, that's right.
When you're on the line with someone, when you cook with someone and you put out that many plates in an evening, the bonding is very intense. When Carl died,
Let me
Go
interject.
ahead.
Now, I want you to hold your thought when Carl passed away. Only because I want to make sure for our Foodie Friday podcast listeners that they know and are reminded of your late husband, Carl Mueller.
Yeah.
So, inventor of the Loon Attic sandwich, first off.
Foremost.
It's Foodie Friday, after all. It's not Rock and Roll Friday. Otherwise, I would start with founding member and original bassist in the band Soul Asylum.
he was. Yeah.
Yes. So
well,
that,
Loud Fast Rules and then Soul Asylum.
and Loud Fast
Right.
Rules before that. Absolutely.
Correct.
Another
Yeah.
notable Twin
Right.
Cities area band.
Yeah.
So anyhow, please continue.
No, but some of the guys that he worked with on the line there that were dispersed all over the country, when they heard the news on the radio, they dropped what they were doing and they drove straight to the Loon.
Wow.
I mean, that's what
How about
happens
that?
when you cook with people.
Yeah.
They're
And
They
cooking
knew-
with love.
They're
Cooking with
bonds
love.
that aren't broken. If you can work with someone for 8 hours and they don't freak out and they're not throwing knives at you, and you can get through day after day after day,
Or even
I mean,
if they
God
are
bless
throwing
a
a
line
knife at
cook.
you.
Well,
Right.
God bless
Right.
a line cook. Right, it's a hard damn job.
Lydia's brother Cosmo is now experiencing that for the first time, and I've heard this.
Where does he cook?
I've heard this before, because I know a lot of folks in the food biz, and I've heard it before. And you're repeating what I've heard. Those bonds that are created when you're in an environment like that, especially a kitchen, and especially as a line cook.
Yep.
And so he's doing line work for New Bohemia. Wurst and Beer House. Their second location opened recently in Golden Valley. Their original one is in Northeast Minneapolis, and they're working on building. You get that second one started,
so
that you can
good.
set the. It's at that point when you really have a template that says, okay, now we can go from we went from 1 to 2. Now we can do 20. If you get the whole format figured out.
Yep, it's a template.
But Cosmo's working the line now. And he's doing those 8, 10, sometimes 11,
his first
12.
restaurant gig,
It's his
and
first
he's back of
restaurant gig like
house.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he comes home with stories that, talk about the funny stuff, the frustrations, but also the bonds.
Yep.
And it's really fun to hear him tell these stories now from his perspective.
My manager yelled at me today. Just me.
That would have been me.
Singled me out. Man, I think I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I really like this job.
Yeah, exactly. It's okay.
It's all right.
Well, I just need to decompress. And that's what you got to do.
There you go. Yep.
But that's so sweet to hear you tell that tale of Carl's passing, and that it was like a mecca
Yeah,
for these
it
people.
was
They
Knoll.
knew
Yeah.
where they needed to
Yeah,
be, and they
exactly.
knew where they needed to gather to see each other and be
Yeah.
with each other.
Oh, well, Stallone.
Yeah,
For us,
exactly.
it's Stallone.
Hey, would you do us a favor? Because we run pretty loosey-goosey here on Foodie Friday. Would you pass me one of those glasses over there? We forgot to get some water going, and we do have some water handy, so pour some for yourself if you'd like. And Krista, would you like a little glass of water? I'm psyching everybody out. It's actually a big pitcher of vodka, so that'll really make the second half of the show just fly by.
Talk about loosey-goosey.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we got it going on. I've got a little carafe
Good,
of water over here too if we run out. So
Thank you.
all is good there. You need some, Lydia?
Nope,
You
I'm
all good
solid.
there?
I'm solid.
All right, very good.
I have a question for both of you, and I don't think we've ever asked this on our show. Would you consider yourselves foodies?
I can say no.
Okay.
There's nothing in my background or even in Steve's background that said we would be making this delightful jar of goodness. Absolutely nothing. And I was listening and thinking, I'm a St. Paul girl too. And I know all of the places that you were saying.
Yeah.
But the St. Paulites, we don't usually venture across the river. So it's like I remember hearing about all of that as I was growing up, and now that I'm older and I go into Minneapolis frequently, I have been to those places.
Right on.
And it's awesome. It's awesome. But no, there's nothing in my background that. I mean, I love good food. Obviously, yes, but sometimes I've learned a lot.
Is there what hesitation is there in calling yourself a foodie that you wouldn't label yourself as such? Is it the background? Is it?
I think that's part of it. We grew up eating things that were pretty disgusting, but yet, Steve had the same stuff when he was growing up. For example, cream chip beef. I bet you never had cream chip beef.
I never in my life have
I
heard
was
of
I
that.
was in the military. That was like
Yeah.
I'm listening.
on
No,
the
I don't know
menu
what it
every
is.
morning.
Spam. Spam.
Yeah, well, that's the same kind of household I
Yeah.
grew up in.
Yeah.
But part of me would beg to differ when you say that you're learning more about food now. That I think that's a part of sort of the foodie narrative, even on a lower level, is that you just have more of an interest in it. Do you feel that you do now?
Yes,
I mean,
that is absolutely true. And I'll tell you, and as I get older, I feel like, oh yeah, I didn't even realize some of these things were available, like the different salts and the different oils and
Sure.
vinegars and that
kidding,
kind
right?
of thing.
Right.
But a year ago, had a little bit of a health discussion, and since then we have discontinued eating. We do not eat processed foods.
Oh,
in our
God bless
home.
you for saying that.
We
Thank
eat
God.
Mediterranean
Right?
diet.
Good job.
More.
Yeah.
Have not had. I think I must have gone to 12-step meetings or something, but I haven't had a diet soda in
Good.
probably
That's
9
awesome.
months.
Holy
That's
God,
a
did you
really good
read
thing.
my website before you came over
I feel
here?
like I know you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But yeah,
Thanks.
water, just
Yeah,
water to
good.
drink, sometimes tea. But we've really transformed the way we eat. In fact, it is pretty much a whole food plant-based diet.
That's
Now, do you
great.
do you
That's
eat
great.
any meat at all? Do you-
Some.
Yeah,
Some.
but you limit it, like the Mediterranean narrative would say.
Yes.
Limit it.
Yes.
On
Like
occasion.
like Dan Buettner's Blue Zones narrative would say. You know, meat is still a part of the Blue Zones that Dan has written about in 2 books now.
Right.
And you go ahead and look that up
3
on
books.
3 books now.
3
Thank
books
you,
now.
Lydia.
Right.
And but that it's an occasional thing, and
Right.
it's it's more or used as a flavoring.
Yep.
Exactly. It's not the focus on
Right.
the plate
Mm-hmm.
anymore. It's not
Half
like
the
this.
plate should be
yeah,
fruit and vegetables.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
It's not the 16-ounce T-bone or sirloin or whatever. We don't do that anymore.
But there's strips maybe of steak in a salad.
in a salad.
And then you get
Yep.
some of that meat flavor and some of
Yes.
the oils there, and it
Yep.
adds some protein, obviously,
Right.
to the diet,
And
too.
that's what's taught us, that's what has been the education as far as you can make this taste even better by using different salts and different
Right.
flavorings
Yeah.
and that type of thing. So in that sense, I feel like I'm becoming more of a
There you
foodie.
go.
But my background, as far as, I'm as far as my jobs and what I've done in my past, it hasn't really said, yeah, she would have a lot of that knowledge. I just never had time
Yeah.
to really appreciate
If a health thing leads you in that direction, or the idea of it, anyhow, that's a blessing.
Yes. Yes.
That's
I
a
agree.
blessing.
I agree.
So that was an epiphany for you then?
It certainly
Was
was.
it a doctor-driven thing, or was it something that you learned from, your physician that you said and then consciously said, I think we need to make a change here?
It's these words. Well, we don't have to put a stent in,
Oh, my.
but you
okay.
may want to change
you-
the way you eat.
there you
okay.
go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You got it.
Well,
How soon
thank-
can I do that? Now I'm on it.
Thanks for being forthcoming.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's appreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the pain in the jaw and being really afraid and knowing my family's history of diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and thinking, no, I'm too young.
Yeah.
I'm too young.
Boy, this is such an enormous part of what, I mean, like you
Unbelievable.
said, you guys are kindred
Right.
spirits to Mary Beth here. So let's do that transition real quick here to mentioning what that narrative is with Kill Cancer. Because that food thing is such a big part of what you're doing.
Everything that you just spoke about, literally everything, the transition from processed and packaged foods to whole foods. We have skyrocketing cancer rates in this country. It's the number one cause of death in almost every state of the union. We're seeing it in our age group because we were raised with mothers that were tricked into thinking that by advertising and making packaged food look like you have achieved status by feeding your children a certain way.
This way, the
This
packaged
way,
food
correct.
way, the
Lucky
convenient
Charms,
way. Yeah.
North Swiss seasoning packets,
Hamburger Helper.
Hamburger Helper,
Part of a
you
complete
name
breakfast.
It. All
We complete
Wonder
the
Bread.
I always
I
like
mean,
that-
the whole thing.
That part of a.
Part of a
Part of a.
Right.
There was always the picture, and there was some fresh
Right.
fruit there, and the rest was part of
Right.
a.
Yes.
Right. So we're a generation that, as you just said, has had to learn how to eat differently.
Right.
My organization at Kill Cancer, we address that, but we also have created a website that gets into the brain of someone between the ages of 15 and 25 so that we can create healthy habits as opposed to correcting them when they're older, so that we can hopefully drop that cancer number down to below 5. It's a way to channel normal youthful rebellion that they are just fed up. I don't want to die.
Right.
I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to be part of that culture that they're fed lies and trickery, and it's an interesting endeavor. My husband died at 40 from a highly preventable type of esophageal cancer. Esophageal is one of the fastest growing outside of skin cancer in the world right now. And the main reason for it is acid reflux from a poor diet. And smoking, of course.
And Carl smoked.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I had to ask for the
come
sake
on,
of argument.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, we would walk to the store and get a Totino's party pizza and a couple Cokes and split it
done.
because it was $5, and then we still had money to go to the entry that night when we got off work, and he got done with practice.
Yeah.
That seemed very sensible and reasonable. There are a number of different strategies that you can employ to reduce your risk of cancer. Staying active, not smoking, knowing your risk and taking care of that. But really, the most basic thing that we do is eat, and that's the thing that's the area that Kill Cancer spends. Well, we only have been around for a year and a half, but it's where we've spent the majority of our resources and our time figuring out how we can impact our community and how we can broadcast that message.
I like that you're not trying to change someone's behavior, that you're just trying to teach them something in a fresh perspective.
To shift it.
Yeah,
To
shift
it.
it.
Here's a lot. Let me break it down for you. You're either dead or you can start young and you can eat cheaply. It's better for the planet. It's better for your community. It'll keep your costs down. I mean, cancer bankrupted me. I'm not sure why people don't connect the dots here, but chemo is not something that's covered on your health care plan. It's a prescription drug that's not covered by your health insurance. Carl will be dead 10 years this June, and I probably have 7 more months left on my payments from that debt from cancer.
Oh, boy.
Are you kidding me? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Wow. Hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Sure.
Right. And people always say, like, well, didn't you have medical insurance? What are you kidding me? That bill was upwards of $3 million, man.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Right. So it's more cost effective if we all stay healthy in the long run. The tangential benefits are you're going to have a lower risk of heart disease. Cancer is what's going to kill us. That's the number one cause of death, straight up. There's no way.
Well, everyone knows someone.
Everybody knows someone. We are the cancer generation, and I'm not about to see it happen in another generation.
In communities where there are forward initiatives to try to get everybody to eat healthier, the numbers play out. The numbers play out in real terms.
Right. Well,
that the percentages of people, fewer, are going to doctors.
Correct.
Percentages of city employees are calling in sick. I mean, you can down the line see that all of this healthier initiative just from an eating level alone.
Correct.
And also, as you said, stay active. That's another one of the pillars of Kill Cancer, but those two together especially.
Yep. And the problem, as I saw it, when I had this brilliant idea to go down this road, was that the information's out there. It's just not reaching the people that are the most at risk. And we have a very, very creative community in this town. We have some of the best advertising agencies and some of the most creative people in the country that live in and work in Minneapolis.
And St. Paul.
Well, I guess in St. Paul. I don't know St. Paul as well, but I'm a Minneapolis gal.
Yeah. Helping out Christo over there.
Right. But it was our intention to create a way to deliver that message where it will be heard. So it doesn't look like the other cancer prevention information that's out there. It has a more urban and rock edge to it. I'll be at 20 music events this summer with my little tent and my cancer awareness spiel. We fund our Gardens initiative by having a rock show. We're a lot different than the other organizations out there, and what we're seeing is that the people that were the millennials, I guess I hate to use that term. I hate to use anything. I hate to use any type of label. But they are responding to this message. This does not need to look like the visual images that we've been fed. It's important to realize that when you go to a cancer prevention website and you look at the people that are depicted there, it says an awful lot, right?
Yep.
They're typically white. They're typically in an upper middle class suburb. They're typically riding a $500 mountain bike, both beautiful parents and both beautiful children.
Aren't we something?
And so immediately when you look at the imagery, you're already pissed off, right? Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
So if you look at the Kill Cancer even the video, they're on the bus, man.
Yeah.
You know,
They're real folks.
Well, I don't know about well.
No, I think so. I mean,
they are. It's what I see. It's what I see reflected every day.
Not to say that the family you depicted earlier isn't real.
No, they're very real too. But
everyone's
addressing that population.
Yeah.
That's not who I'm really all that concerned about.
Yeah.
When you already feel disenfranchised, you're typically in a neighborhood that doesn't have access to healthy food. I mean, all you have to do is stand at the end of goddamn Broadway and take a look.
Yep.
It's a line of fast food restaurants.
Well, the food deserts.
That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
And that's where we concentrated our gardens last year. Exactly.
We'll talk about the gardens in just a second. I want to bring up, because you brought up North Minneapolis, that the owner of Brick's Grocery, which just had a huge fire among other buildings on West Broadway in North Minneapolis, really wants to bring his grocery back for two reasons. Obviously, one, it's his business, it's his livelihood, but he knows the service that he provides to the people in that community. And obviously, it's a small grocery store, so yes, there's going to be some processed foods in there, but
it doesn't matter.
But it's the fresh foods and just the food, the narrative
to be
in
able
general.
to introduce fresher foods, and it's not solely processed
and to
foods.
be a part of that. Yeah.
At least it's not a convenience store that everything comes in a cellophane bag that's covered in salt.
Yeah.
You know.
You're going to tell us about the gardens in a second, and I want to go back to Krista because I'm very curious about the experience of making the Velvet Bees honey butter and the process and the shared use kitchen aspect of your world. Lyd, why don't you tell us real quick about Paul Mercurio's show here on the Alive and Social Network?
The Paul Mercurio Show. This is a show that I edit. Super funny guy. Paul Mercurio is a stand-up comedian, writer for The Daily Show, Peabody Award winner. He's got some big name guests. I don't know if you've heard of Neil deGrasse Tyson at all.
Neil who?
Right. Paul McCartney's been on his show. Gilbert Gottfried. It's really cool. You should check it out. It's every Sunday we are posting his show. Very lewd, but hilarious.
Yes, it is. And I realized that I brain farted. Paul, if you're listening to the Foodie Friday show, I know it's not Mercurio, like mercurochrome, which is a painful antiseptic.
I was wondering about that.
So I'm very sorry, Paul. You're not a painful comedian. No, you're very funny, lively, engaging, a wonderful writer. Peabody Award winner, for God's sake. There's no mercurochrome involved in that. Although
do they still make mercurochrome?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
orange
hope
stuff.
not.
You kidding me?
I hope not.
Are you kidding me here?
Yeah,
right, exactly.
that
The orange
reddish
stuff. Right. No. They've got this little thing called Neosporin. Right?
The one thing you didn't want to hear your mom say was, "You got an owie. Come to the medicine cabinet." No.
Please.
Yeah.
No. What's it like when you make your food, Krista? I mean, you've got 5 basic ingredients. You're sharing this kitchen. Give us a little picture, a visual picture here on the podcast of what this process is like. You and Steve, your husband, now working together, making this stuff, like you said, small batches still. Paint a picture for us.
Oh, it's a beautiful picture. It's a lot of white because we wear white jackets. We pretty much have to be on our own. So we look at the calendar that we share with the other 30 or so producers in the kitchen.
30 or so
Yeah,
producers.
there are about 30
Wow.
other producers
And
in
how
the
many
kitchen.
workplaces are there in this kitchen? Just one, or?
Oh, it's a fabulous kitchen. It's a 4,000 square foot building, and there is on-site cold storage, freezer storage, warehousing. Not a lot, not a ton, but there's enough that everybody can share the.
And you can
shared
kind of
space.
buy into the different levels that you need. I mean, if you need a little more storage or a little more cold,
Right.
you kind of add a little more to what you're paying to be there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yes, and it's great because one of the things you mentioned before about the other people who are there, I've got to tell you, there are some really great ones. One of them is called Zen Garden, and he Kate is his name. This is a guy's name. He owns it. They make gluten-free pizza dough, and they're kind of like the same level. He came in at the same time we did. He started his business, and now he's grown it to a very, very nice level. So it's been fun to watch him grow. Awesome. But he's in a completely different space in the building because he is gluten-free. And while we are too, we use the heating elements of stoves and stock pots and ovens and that type of thing. So we're in a different area, but so we're pretty much by ourselves. But it's just the two of us, and sometimes my son Drew helps us out, and we just lay out those jars and we cook the honey butter, and I'm not going to tell you much more than that.
Well, no,
that's
because
the
it's
secret.
processed.
I was
Yeah.
going to
It's the
ask, yeah,
process.
is this a secret recipe
It
that you keep
is.
close, or
It is. It is. Yeah.
as
Although
you
we-
should, as you
Yeah,
should?
we should, yes. Yeah, so it's pretty much, we go in 4 or 5 hour blocks, and yeah.
Right. No, I'm laughing about a secret recipe because anyone that's glazed carrots, like we were talking about that recipe before, knows that the Easter Sunday that they put too much butter in the saute pan and it broke. Yeah. So I can't wait to use your honey butter to cook because it is a trick. Yep. You have to have the right proportion.
You do.
You're darn right you do.
You do. And it's been fun, too, as we've gotten to know people who use I'm a very basic person. Just put it on toast, eat it off the spoon, put it on your pancakes. You can put a little bit in your coffee or your tea if you'd like. But we do have friends who have been, that they made pizza. Take a flatbread pizza crust, and you put the applewood smoked bacon
Okay.
and
Yep, I see where you're going here.
Yeah, hell
white
yeah.
cheddar, and then you pineapple, and then you bake that. Yeah. And you drizzle the honey butter over there.
See, that sounded good.
Yeah.
We'll throw some props to Zen Gardens in too. We'll use one of those gluten-free
Exactly.
pizza crusts
exactly.
on there.
Yep.
Darn right we will.
He's the supplier for Pizza Luce.
Is that right?
Really?
They're
Those are
gluten-free.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that you're supporting small business.
So yeah, we're
Small
seeing
business
some
love.
layers
Pizza
here,
Luce.
you know, with this incubus of a kitchen. You're distributed in a lot of different places too. I mean, you're Lund's, Byerly's, Kowalski's,
Yes, Surdyk's.
Surdyk's.
We're in. We started off our very first wholesale customer was Amit's Apple Farm down by
right
Stillwater.
on. That's perfect.
Yeah, Chris Amit brought us in, and then from there we went into a smaller grocery store, just a two-store chain that is no longer in operation, but Kowalski's and Lund's and Byerly's, and I can break it on this podcast. You're going to get some breaking news right now.
Please.
Starting next week, we are delivering our first pallet to Chicago.
Get
We've
out.
been
Right.
picked up by a sort of a 22-state distributor.
That's
So-
awesome.
Really cool.
Congratulations.
So you're hiring a truck to take this there, and
Right.
and then boom, away. How much is in a pallet for you?
Sorry,
That's-
you're going to be at the Jewel? The Jewel Osco? Which
No.
grocery?
They-
Treasure Island?
No, they've got 22 states that they go to. That they'll go to chains like Kowalski's and Lund's
In
and
other
Byerly's,
cities,
and
yeah.
smaller,
More the
like
boutique-oriented
cheese,
ones, yeah.
cheese shop kind of
Perfect.
thing. Yeah. So that's pretty excited. In this instance, we'll do 52 cases on a pallet.
Okay.
And so we'll be working with Co-op Partners, which is a cold storage and a distribution warehouse, and they're affiliated with the Wedge. And so the truck from Chicago will come up, pick it up.
Nice.
That worked
That's
out.
all the piece honey butter.
Congratulations.
Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks.
And you bring up the cold storage aspect because this is a dairy product, and
Yes.
you guys use no preservatives in here.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so refrigeration is needed on that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
for our listeners, it's 5 ingredients. It's honey, cream, cane sugar, vanilla, and butter.
And it just is a creamy, smooth, delicious concoction.
Thank
I
you.
mean, it's just lovely. Like you said, spoon, jar, mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sick
Pretty
of
simple.
tasting it?
Pretty
or
simple deal.
Is it never sick of that?
No, and
Do you s-
no, it's so good. No, and one thing that one of our dreams, and I think this will actually come true sooner than we thought, is flavors. We'll be coming out with some flavors.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that being a part of that narrative. Yeah, that would
Blueberry
be
honey butter,
chocolate.
honey.
Yeah,
Cayenne.
a little
Yeah, a
cayenne
little bit
in
of
there.
cooking.
Spice a
Yep,
little
bit.
exactly.
That's a great
Right.
idea, MB.
Yep.
Yep.
Congratulations on everything, Krista.
Thank you.
Very cool.
May 7th, Turf Club. Thursday, May 7th, Turf Club, 8 o'clock. It's Kill Cancer's Gardens Kill Cancer program that benefits from this big lineup of music: American Scarecrows, Craig Jarrett Johnson and David Poe and Friends, Trailer Trash, and Sam Cassidy. So this is the big rock event that you're talking about that really brings some money into Kill Cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would hope, right?
Well, you know.
That-
it's,
well, we're encouraging
it's,
folks to do just that.
No, I mean, I think everyone should go to the show. It doesn't really take a lot of money to buy a lot of plants and a lot of seed packets. It just doesn't. I can get it done with one rock show.
And like you said, as I said, and as we'll point out here, the Gardens Kill Cancer program. So that's the idea: is to take this money.
Oh, we take 100% of the money that
money
we earn at that rock show, and we invest it in the community, in community gardens. The gardens apply through Gardening Matters, which is another nonprofit. It's over in the Sabathany building.
Okay.
And their lovely executive director, Susan, calls me, and we vet the I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here.
The smaller organizations or people
the
that
other
are applying
gardens
or
that
whatever?
are applying, and we decide where in the Twin Cities we're going to focus our money. We focus in food deserts and in neighborhoods that the gardens will be giving gardens.
Okay.
So by giving gardens, that portion of what is grown is given to the nearest local food shelf. And then last year, all of the gardens, all 16 gardens were on Plymouth Avenue in North Minneapolis.
So what we have here is a bunch of different gardens, a series
Correct.
of gardens, no matter where they may be in the Twin Cities, that are already established so that you can go in and work with an existing program because they've already got their little thing, their little engine churning. And if you can layer things in there, then you can make it blossom.
I don't have a large enough organization yet
build gardens.
To build gardens.
Right.
That's what we hope to do next year. But there are a lot of community gardens where there are people that really want to have the experience to grow their own food. It's economically, they can save a ton of money if they grow their own food. They can help their neighborhoods by having people out and about. They just can't afford to do it. That's where I come in and say, here you go. Here's all the plants and all the seeds that you need for the year. All I ask is that a portion of what you grow is returned back into the community.
Nice.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So to that end, this is the one program that we were able to actually grow exponentially this year we have something called the Kill Cancer Full Cycle Food Delivery Program, and we have hired 4 riders this year. So these are formerly homeless youth that build their own bicycles. We put carts on the back. They ride between gardens, some participating restaurants. They go to 5 food shelves. And at the last food shelf at Groveland, they'll pick up some healthy snacks, whether it's packaged almonds or Kind bars, whatever they have available that Thursday. And then we ride to 5 youth drop-in centers.
Love it.
So for homeless kids, we can reduce their barriers to healthy food. Matt over at Full Cycle thought up the program, but he just didn't have the funding. Last year, we've increased the funding tenfold this year.
That's incredible.
This year.
Terrific.
That was, I'm extremely, I love this program. And it fits well with what I've always done in the city. So, Harvey over at Turtle Bread is super cool. So he's going to box up 4 or 5 big boxes for each of the drop-in centers. J&J Distributing at the Produce Exchange at the Midtown Global, they're going to give us fresh produce. Chipotle's on board. Rustica's on board. Certix has always been on board. And then we encompass all the gardens as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
And it goes along the narrative of what you mentioned earlier in the program here, which is less processed food, more fresh food, and moving it into these communities where it seems to be a lot of processed food is what happens and what's put on the table.
It's what they have. It's what they have access to.
Yeah, like you said, food deserts are prominent in low-income areas, and so to combat that, you're doing 2 things. You're helping people eat healthier in those neighborhoods, but also helping to kill cancer as well. So
it will reduce their risk. Exactly.
May 7th, Turf Club, Thursday, May 7th. More information on Mary Beth's website, which is killcancer, KILLKANCER.org. And it benefits the Gardens Kill Cancer program. And with Krista, velvetbeeshoneybutter.com is her website. And learn more about where you can find her and Steve's products. There's a distribution list on there and a little bit about the story behind Velvet Bees, which you've already heard here on Foodie Friday. All right, Lyd, are we ready for the Foodie Friday 5?
I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited about this one. Every week we ask the same 5 questions from our guests. And this is called the Foodie Friday 5.
Yes,
so
it is.
Prep for
It's
it.
a quiz.
It is a quiz.
As I mentioned earlier, we may have heard from Krista what may be an answer here already. Let's see. Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with Krista. Krista, what's the first thing you ever made by yourself in the kitchen that you had to cook. Was it the Campbell's soup?
It was the can of chicken noodle soup.
In kindergarten.
In kindergarten.
Excellent.
We might have to ask her then, what's the second thing you made?
Oh, boy, when I was young, I don't remember cooking a lot. I just remember that because my mom was at work. But I was actually the main cook in my family.
Is that right?
When I was in high school.
Okay.
So I experimented.
Wow.
Well, do we have time for one story? Can I tell
Of
you
course.
one
Yeah.
story?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This I loved doing scratch food. I would get the recipe books and look it up. And my dad would get home, and I for some reason, he's a big man, and so I wanted to cook for him. Well, I was going to make a homemade pumpkin pie, and so I took the pumpkin and I made the pumpkin pie according to the directions. But what the directions failed to tell me was that you had to cook the pumpkin. And so my dad, God bless his soul, took a bite and his eyes just flew open, and it was one of those,
This is really good.
that's really good. so that was
There's a story about my late father, Jimmy Turner. When my mother was in the hospital, my youngest sister was being born. He thought he'd make a coffee cake. And
nice.
yeah, it was just a sweet gesture, but he didn't realize that you put brewed coffee in there, not a cup of what we're coffee
Grounds.
That was a little.
Grandpa Jim.
That was a crunchy coffee cake there, that's for sure, Jimmy. Good job there, Jimmy. He tried. All right, MB.
Mary Beth, what's the first thing you ever made by yourself in the kitchen that you had to cook?
Well, we were the family of the slice and bake cookies. But I think the first thing from scratch was Toll House cookies, for sure.
Oh, nice. Very good. Tasty.
Solid.
Krista, what's the most pretentious food that you crave? Something that people would look like, oh, really? She's eating that? Well,
Honey butter, really?
Can I say that? Wow, pretentious.
There's no pretense in honey butter.
No,
Maybe you
no.
don't have a pretentious bone in your foodie body there.
I don't think I'm going to have to develop that.
Yeah, there you go. You're developing
We're working
foodie.
on it.
Mary Beth, what's the most pretentious food that you crave?
It's hard to. I don't know what pretentious is when it comes to food.
That's a good attitude.
That is a good
Right.
answer. That's
I
a good
mean-
answer, too.
I don't know.
right, that's a
we
good
eat.
answer also.
Carl and I, when we would love to go to the Oyster Bar at Grand Central Station, but we'd sit there for hours and hours and hours. And I think to some people that would be a completely foreign thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But we would go out on fishing boats and pull up buckets of oysters
Love
and
it.
shuck them right
Yeah.
there. So, I don't know. I don't look at it that way.
Oysters in some settings would be pretentious the way you guys did it. Not at
No,
all.
hell no.
Not at all.
Yeah, there's nothing that I do that could,
Be pretense
Nah.
filled. All right, next question.
Krista, which person in your life taught you the most about food?
Probably my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. While we were a middle working class family, Mom always had her eyes higher, and so we would do for the holidays, for Christmas especially. Every year we would do a different ethnicity. And so she liked to kind of take us around the world that year. One year we did the Chinese food, and we did the egg rolls, and we did the shrimp toast. It was delicious. It was so much fun. But every year,
Was she a from scratch cook?
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of where you learned that from as well.
Yep.
Very cool. Excellent. What about you, Mary Beth? Which person in your life taught you the most about food?
Boy, I don't. I think I owe a huge debt of gratitude to literally every person that cooks professionally in this town. From Big Daddy on University to the original art songs at 38th and Nicollet to, those cats like that are at 510 and or used to be 510, excuse me, La Bellevue
La
now,
Bellevue,
and,
yep.
and those cats that were at the kitchens at La Quatre Amies when it was at on Hennepin Avenue. I mean, we have some really talented people in this town, and I don't care where you're throwing down, but as long as it's honest food. I'm cool with that. I'm an equal opportunity eater.
And that world is growing exponentially.
Oh, it's exciting. I mean, I wish I could go to all those restaurants.
Back in the day, not too long ago, when Fegri's was among a handful of deals
it was
in town in
one
Minneapolis, and it was
restaurant.
Mancini's, in
right.
St. Paul, and that was
Mancini's,
kind
right.
of it,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm missing out on some, but you get what I'm saying
Sure,
here.
right.
Krista, the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest.
Fresh bread.
Nice.
Fresh bread.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you have a preferred bakery? Is it Rustica? Because Rustica makes really good bread.
I do love Rustica, but there are a couple of bakers in the kitchen, the commercial kitchen where we are. Very cool duo of guys. They deliver their bread. It's called Break Bread, but it's BRAKE. They deliver their bread to West 7th area on their bikes.
Nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Mary Beth Mueller, the smell of this food makes you feel the hungriest.
Anything damn fried.
Just that
yeah.
oil going.
Honey,
Yep.
please. I grew up in the South. You could deep fry erasers and I'd dunk them in something and eat them.
These razor blades are
Yeah,
delicious.
you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Wait,
triggers
is there any more?
something. Yeah.
All right, Krista, last question. What is your guilty pleasure food?
The bread, because since we've been cutting back on flours and everything.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, oh,
So
man,
now
oh,
that's a
man.
guilty
Just-
pleasure thing for you. Absolutely.
What about you, Mary Beth?
Oh, barbecue for sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Any specific kind of barbecue? Is there a joint, or is it
Yeah, what's
home
the
cooked?
best?
Or
You know, I really like Reverend Alexander at 38th and Chicago right now. I super love Big Daddy's. I super love Scott Jemima. I mean, are you kidding me? That was last month. It's hard for me to resist. I love it.
Delicious. Another Foodie Friday under our belt. Krista Aspinwall from Velvet Bees Honey Butter. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, BT and Lydia.
More information on that website, velvetbeeshoneybutter.com. And Mary Beth Mueller from Kill Cancer. Good to
Thank
have you here, MB.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good luck on May 7th at the
Yeah,
Turf Club.
thank you.
And again, more information at Kill Cancer. 2 Ks in there, KILLKANCER.org.
thank you, Dad.
Thank you,
for
Lydia.
being here. Thank you.
We appreciate it, one and all, for your listening today. Get a little SNL NPR thing going on there. NPR thing. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about nothing Shveddy as we close out, though. We'll just say
Good times.
good beginning and touche. We'll see you next week.